Well, we are here. So this is my first time doing a review of any movie or anything, but I'm just get right to it. I am reviewing Fantastic Four: The First Steps. So, where to begin? You're probably gonna see a title thing saying non-spoiler. This is gonna be a non-spoiler, and I'll have my spoiler talk later in the video. I will make sure to have annotations for that alone. But for now, we're gonna be with the non-spoiler of the new Fantastic Four movie, and I have to straight up and say, I really like this movie. This was a very good movie. I I cannot believe how much I enjoyed watching this movie. I just saw it in theaters. I just came back home like about an hour and a half ago, and I watched it with my dad, and it was really fun. I came into this tempering my expectations, not knowing how good or how bad my expectations were gonna be. I just wanted to see the movie. I just wanted to see it for myself, and I got to. And yes, first impressions immediately. This movie did not leave me bored whatsoever. I was intrigued throughout most of the movie. The acting and everything else just kept me invested really, really well. Pacing was done really well. The Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 was all done very well. I will talk a little bit about my complaints, but I'm gonna try to keep this as brief as possible and not make it too long. But yeah, I loved this movie. I think it was really good, man. Super good. Like unbelievably good. So without getting to any specifics, let's talk about just the overall writing of this movie. The writing was very good. It is, set in a different Earth universe of, regular. It's not our exact, universe of Marvel. So I'm gonna try to not speak too much on that. But yeah, this universe, Fantastic Four, are like the main heroes, and they are like the only world's defenders, which I'm not too used to, but I'm also like that's fine. I can handle that connotation because this is like a futuristic like 60s. This is like futuristic 60s type vibe, which is pretty cool. I was really digging the set pieces and the designs of everything. It was really really cool. And so yeah, so overall the characters for the most part were very good. I enjoyed like a lot of the characters' interactions, a lot of their dialogue, a lot of the writing that they had. But straight up, the best character in the entire movie is literally Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm is way more down to earth than I thought he was going to be. He's not much of a playboy. He still has that kind of charm to him, but they've been Fantastic Four for about 4 years is what they kind of generalize, is that they've been the heroes for the world technically for 4 years. So Johnny's had time to, mature and accept his role as a hero. Oh, excuse me. And Ben Grimm has accepted more or less that he is the thing. They do kind of touch up on some of his like personality in terms of like, does he accept who he is still? Is he still having trouble? I'll dive into a little bit more in the future of this video, but yeah, it was. I felt the pacing of the movie was really going forward. Didn't really feel that stuck in one dialogue or one time frame. There's a lot of time jumps. They time jump. They don't specifically show or say. They kind of just give you kind of context clues about what happens and where we are in the story. But yeah, it is really good. I cannot believe the character writing for Johnny was so good. He is literally the highlight of the movie. Johnny is the best part of this movie. Straight up, best part of this movie. Ben Grimm, the Thing, he is super good. He's very charming. He has some pretty good moments of like being on the streets and showing off his talents and his charm with the people, like just the public. It was very charming, and I was like, yeah, this is what Ben Grimm should be like, straight up. Instantly really good. And then Susan Reeds, I should say, because they are married. Reed and Susan are married. And right off the bat, I could tell that they were trying to drive her forward for the most part, like kind of make her a little bit of the focus, which is fine. I wasn't too much of a harp on that, but it did come at the cost that Reed Richards, Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, which great actor, He did a good job acting. I still don't see him as Reed Richards. I'm not going to make that as a negative to the film, but I was like, I wanted somebody else to portray Reed Richards than Pedro Pascal. Do not hate him. I enjoy his acting. He's very good, but I think they could have done somebody different and it would have been just fine. But regardless of that fact, Reed Richards kind of doesn't get as much screen time as I wanted. I feel like they gave Sue a bit too much screen time, and because they're trying to make her proper as the main character, which is fine, but at the cost that Reed Richards has some development in his character arc that really doesn't get fleshed out too much that it should. If they spent like an extra like 5 to 10 minutes of extra scenes to his character, showing a little bit more of his growth, a little bit more of his development, and like having him just change ever so slightly throughout the story, would have been a bit better and shown off him more less as a supporting character and more of like a co-main star. It didn't really feel that way. Like I said, he felt like a little undercooked in terms of some of the writing and some of his character development. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. I still thought Reed was still very fun. I still thought he was done relatively well. The writing team did a fantastic job doing his character, regardless of the fact that it wasn't fully fleshed out that I wanted. But yeah, if I had to say from top to bottom, like my favorite characters of the main four, had to be Johnny, had to be Ben, had to be Sue, and then it had to be Reed in that order. Johnny, every time Johnny was on screen, he stole the show. He stole every scene, straight up. Johnny was so well written, so well portrayed, and just done so good. His fire effects was great. The CGI was more or less pretty good. Like I'll talk a little bit about a little bit more in depth of the stuff I didn't like in the CGI in the spoiler talk, because that's where some of it does come to play. But as you know in the movie, Galactus is the main antagonist. It's not really a spoiler. He was really good. They made him menacing. He was, really dark. The voice acting for him was really deep. And I don't remember who the voice actor is. I might put it up on screen here, but I really enjoyed Galactus in this movie. He was so good. Like, even though for how little we technically got him, like, we did not get him that much in the movie. Even though he shows up roughly in Act 2, I would say, like, almost the beginning of Act 2, I should say. He's more or less kind of just talked about and kind of discussed. And, speaking of which, Silver Surfer, I shouldn't gloss over. So, I am not the biggest fan of a female Silver Surfer in my eyes. I've grown up with mostly male Silver Surfer, which is, completely understandable. But she's done really well, like straight up. I had really no complaints about her character. This Silver Surfer, we actually got her actual part of her backstory revealed to us too in the movie, without spoiling what happened in that backstory and some of the connections with that. But she was done pretty well. Her performance was nice. She was in the movie quite a bit. She was kind of like a bit of the main focus, and she just really had a really nice place in the pacing of explaining things and showing things off. And her scenes were really cool. Like the CGI they did with her body and the action sequences that she had was really good. It felt punchy. It felt really nice and connected to the rest of the movie. I did not really have much to say about her that is bad. She's pretty solid. I wouldn't say she's perfect. She ain't no Johnny. She ain't no Johnny written and writing and screen time, but she is very well done, and I personally really dug it. It feels like there's more I can talk about. I'll talk about more in the spoiler talk, but yeah, very good. Galactus was good. It was overall very good. Surprisingly, this is a dialogue film from almost the beginning to the end. There's very little like action sequences, and I think that's where they were able to save the money, was keeping it kind of contained in more of a, not really drama, but more of like a dialogue of a movie. Like 85, maybe 90% of the movie is dialogue, talking, and just, conversations. And then 10% is like action sequences or big CGI stuff. Maybe I would say it's more close to 15%. I would say more 15% of the movie is more like is more action packed or more tense and thriller. which is not a bad thing. I kind of was like wishing it was more like 75-25, 70-30% split of action and sequences, but they were able to save quite a bit of money for certain scenes because of it, and it probably would helped with the overall of those action packed scenes. And it really does pay off pretty well. And the amount of time and effort probably put into some of those scenes was pretty apparent, like straight up. But there is some CGI moments that kind of don't look great. They definitely like get you a little distracted overall, and kind of keeps you a little like, whoa, that's a little weird type stuff. But overall, it was really good. The Thing CGI makeup is really good. They did a really good job with this model. I can't say it now until I get to the spoiler talk, but there is a change in his character design that I absolutely loved, and it was actually really cool seeing it. And I I freaking loved it, man. That was really good. But yeah, I don't know what else to say that isn't, spoilery, but yeah, the direction of this movie is very well done. They reuse a lot of sets, and they reuse a lot of like, areas, but I feel like every time we explore a new area, they kind of just shift the angle, they change the lighting, they do something that makes it feel like it's the same place, but we're not experiencing it the same way. It's kind of neat how they do that. It's kind of neat how they do some of that stuff, and I really enjoyed that like really well, and it kind of meshed pretty well too overall in the movie. Like we explore the inside of their like home, like in like 25 different scenes multiple times, and it feels like it's not always the same. There's some shots that are the same, or some sequences are like, oh yeah, we've been here before. It's just like, yeah, there's more talking. No, every time, almost every time, it's like it feels like a different scene and not just the exact same scene done over and over again. It's actually done kind of differently, and I actually really dug that dedication. And yeah, more and more goes on with that movie. It's just the more and more I think about it and just reel back on it, it definitely felt a lot more well put together than I was willing to believe. But yeah, I like I said, there's not much for me to else to talk about in the non-spoiler part of the review, other than without trying to make this too long. It's just, man, it's a damn good movie. I seriously really liked it. It I came in with like, middle expectations, like maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, we'll see. And I came out loving this movie. This movie is really fun, and I want to see it again some point in the future. It's pretty good. I think that's telling that I want to see a movie a second time. Is I don't say that much. It's a good movie. Act 1 is pretty good. It's a lot more dialogue and just, mystery and kind of building up these characters. Act 2, there is a moment in Act 2 which I didn't get to fully see. I had to, leave the theater for a second to use the restroom. So there is a piece that I did not see that happened in Act 2, which I'll talk about in the spoilers section. But yeah, for the non-spoiler part of this review, it was pretty good. I'll give you the final rating after the spoiler talk, which will probably be roughly around this time. If you want to, go over to there, and I'll be done with the spoiler talk. But right now we're going to shift over to the spoilers. So mute/go forward in time where whatever I put here, and yeah, and I'll meet you there in a second. But for you guys who do not mind spoilers or have seen the movie and are just watching the review, here my spoiler talk of the movie is, first of all, let's talk about that baby. So yeah, in the movie, Reed Richards and Sue Storm, or Sue Richards I should say, have a baby. They straight up have a kid, Franklin, who I believe is canon in the comics, and Franklin is a very pretty strong character overall. And straight up, it is kind of unique to see that they did it at the beginning of the movie. Like, oh yeah, literally the first like 5 minutes, Sue is pregnant. They do a test, she's pregnant. Reed Richards is like ecstatic, but also kind of worried because they're made of cosmic energy and stuff like that, and they are worried that their baby's not gonna be fine. And so yeah, it really put the precedent. Like, I'm like, oh wow, I did not expect this. I knew this movie was about family, and Sue did get pregnant. I found that out during some people talking about it, not really spoilery, But I did learn about it, like, oh yeah, she does get pregnant. She's pregnant right away, and she carries that baby for the first half of the movie until like the middle of Act Two, straight up. The middle of Act Two, she actually does have the baby, but I'll get to that. So starting Act One, we learn the characters a bit more. They go into like an in depth like commercial talking and explaining, and like a talk host goes and talks about our the heroes of our world, the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, and they go on and on about the characters. They show like the old TV show, which is really funny. And yeah, they kind of express a little bit more about that, and they tell us specifically they've been our heroes for 4 years. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So these characters have been the Fantastic Four for a little while now, which is really neat. And so yeah, it was really nice like seeing like how some of their contributions to the world have been. And it shows like a bits and pieces of what they did and how they are and how they act. And I was really enjoying that. And it showed like how, Sue Storm's powers are pretty good. Reed Richards, is Mr. Fantastic. Ben Grimm is the Thing, and then Johnny Storm as the Human Torch, and like how he's able to manipulate powers. His fire effects are so good in the movie. I really enjoyed what they did with his fire effects. They were really nice. They had like a deep hue of fire. It was really done really well. Yeah, and as we progress in the movie more and more, we get to um Reed Richards is listening out in space, and he's hearing like alien speech and dialogue. And Johnny, who they give more to Johnny is a space nerd. He loves space. Not only like he's a bit of a playboy, yes, but he's like also a space nerd. He's actually very intellectual about space, which makes sense. Most of the time, how Human Torch is presented is mostly like a playboy, and he kind of doesn't know everything, and he's kind of a goofball. And like, why is he on this space mission when he's not really that intelligent? This movie shows that he is a very intelligent man. Not as intelligent as Reed, of course, but he is a very smart guy. It's just that he is a goofball at heart and is kind of a playboy. But I love the direction of his character because he's contributing a lot to the group with his own intellect. Like, everybody is smart in their own way, and they kind of contribute to that. But Johnny, I feel like, does a whole lot more because they do give him a lot more scenes to really flesh that part of him out. And I seriously love that part of the movie was Johnny kept having these moments of like, oh, like Eureka, I understand it now, like let me figure this out. Like, and then like he's also like very, like also like what's the word? Very like brotherly towards, Reed. Like, oh, Reed's busy with his own stuff, like his brain's busy, like I can handle this, I should not give this to Reed. Like, I can do this myself, and I don't want to trouble him. Like, he's got other important business to do. I have my own. And it's really nice. I love seeing that throughout the movie because when everything's fine, like everything's, going well until Silver Surfer shows up. They see it on the thing, and like over freaking fragments of like a meteor coming down. They're like, what the hell's going on? And of course, it's Johnny's the one who is the first person to meet her. And I knew the moment that Johnny was the one who's like interacting with her, there's going to be some sort of romantic tension between them. And throughout the movie, there is like a romantic tension between Silver Surfer and Johnny, which is done decently well, I will say. Done pretty decently well. And it certainly shows a bit more of that part of Johnny, of like that little bit of that playboy side. But it's not fully playboy because he's kind of matured a bit. He's a little bit more understanding. He does kind of like, hey, so how you doing? He doesn't really do that stuff, but he does kind of like hint and kind of ease a little bit into that kind of charm of his, which is really fun to see for Johnny. And it's not overdone. It's not overzealous. It's done pretty mildly, and I think that it was a really good choice on the director's part and the team writing it. And so that, Silver Surfer shows up, warns them that, yep, Galactus is going to eat your world. Like, you're going to die, yada, yada. And she bounces, and you're like, oh, crap. Like, we need to, like, Fantastic Four is like, oh, we got to save our world. Like, we got to, let's rush our space expedition. And so Reed makes them new suits, and it's really nice. He's like, yep, I got those suits ready. Like, let's go. Johnny is super excited. Like, I got to go to space. Let's go. And it's really cute to see that happen to his character. And I seriously was, like, rooting for Johnny to, like, constantly be on screen because he's just so good. Every scene he's in is, like, really good. And his relationship between, Reed, Sue, and Ben is super nice. Like, when he finds out that Sue's pregnant, he's the first one to, like, get up and, like, oh my god, like, hell yeah, let's do this. Like, I'm gonna be an uncle. Like, I'm gonna be the best uncle. And he's like super supportive about it. And like Ben's like always like he's like the deep thinker, and he kind of like understands like how people's emotions are, and he's able to figure it out on his own, which is really cute. And it's just his facial expressions is super good. Like, I really enjoyed that part of it. And there was just multiple scenes where I'm just like, dude, this is so goddamn good. Like, seriously. But yeah, I there's more and more of that part that is just so nicely done throughout the movie, of just like showing like everybody's happy, they're a family and all that stuff. And like, I know people some say like, oh, the movie's too much family and then it's crisis. Like, there, I'll go into a part later and at the beginning of Act 3, or middle of Act 3 I should say, about that I have a little bit of an issue with. But it it overall does a really good job in the first couple acts, just setting up that family like bond between all the characters, and that they like Ben and Johnny are the best of friends. They tease each other all the time, but they're in the end of the day they're really good friends, and so they kind of like bounce off each other with like jokes, and like kind of teasing each other, which was really cute and really funny. And it's like they both want to like mess stuff up, because Reed's like, we're gonna talk with them, we're gonna examine blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, like stop with the stock. And Reed's like, if he's like this, then you guys can defeat them like this and punch. And they're like, yeah. They all get like really giddy. And I'm just like, dude, the relationship is done so well between Ben and Johnny. It's so good, so funny. I can't believe how good it is overall. And so we see more and more of it as we go on, and it is done very well. I can't like, oh, there's a lot to talk about, but I can't really focus too much on one thing. But yeah, so Act 1 pretty much ends with them, with Silver Surfer showing up, telling them that Galactus is coming. So like, all right, let's go to space. Now here's like the first weird thing. So at this point, Sue is like close to delivering the baby. And I get it, they're a team, they have to go to space, but they are going to space to meet this freaking destroyer of worlds, because they find out that all these worlds have been destroyed by this entity, by this Galactus. And it's Silver Surfer who's the one who's really targeting or like helping them with this stuff. So like, all right, we gotta go. Sue Storm's like, I'm gonna join you guys. I'm like, I get it, you're Sue Storm, or Sue Reeds, or Sue Richards, I should say. And you're a good part of the team. You're one of the strongest members with your abilities, but like you're pregnant with your husband's kid. Like, why are you going on this mission? Which is, reason why I'm just like, this is what part of the act where I'm like a little like I'm not sure about this one. This one's a little weird. Like, why are you going to space with your child? And it's just like, okay, whatever. So they go to space, they do FTL jumps, because Reed Richards is a genius man. He's able to figure out space-time travel and stuff like that. And they're able to find Galactus destroying, like in the middle of destroying a world. You get to see like the destruction, and like, yeah, this world was bigger than ours, and he was able to devour it without issue. Well, they get captured. Like, of course, Galactus finds them. Silver Surfer is like, you shouldn't have come, but Galactus would like to see you. Galactus has an interest on Sue, specifically their baby, and Galactus's like scanner scans her stomach, and it shows like, oh, so that's who that is, or something like that. And so when they arrive, they're on the inside of Galactus's like ship that like destroys the world, that and transfers all of its energy to him. And Johnny, of course, tries to hit on Silver Surfer, but kind of like figure out, because at this time Johnny is constantly like researching and like kind of listening on the words that she tells him, because he tries to stop her, ask her like, why are you doing this, and she says some words to him, and he's like trying to figure out why is she like kind of not threatening us. She's not mean to us, she's actually being very warm, very kind, and kind of sad about our situation. And so he's the one that's trying to figure out, why is Silver Surfer doing this? And he's the one that's researching her language and like figuring out who she is and why she's doing what she's doing. And so yeah, it's a lot to go off of that stuff, and I'm just like, dude, this is so good. Like, I'm loving the character development between Johnny and like his obsession now with figuring out Silver Surfer, with also the exception of space and the like. And so we like yeah, they go back in the thing. They meet Galactus. Galactus is this huge being. Like you just see his freaking glowing eyes in the dark. I'm just like, oh my god, this is so cool. I'm loving every second of this. And he's in his chair getting feeded by the planet he just like destroyed, and all the magma of like the internal core of everything is like being fed into these tubes, which is feeding because Galactus is cursed to feel this hunger, and so he's constantly has to replenish himself if he doesn't want to feel the hunger, which makes the most sense. And it's like Galactus pretty much admits like you're from your world, like I beg for mercy and stuff like that, and like no, we just want to talk. And he's like, well, I can spare your world, but I want your child. And they look at each other like, what the hell are you talking about? No, we're not gonna give you a child. And he explains, this child has all this cosmic energy and is probably like a god. Like this child has a hunger and you guys do not know. This child will actually take my throne and take my curse. And I'm just like, oh shoot. No way. Like Franklin, their child, is going to be the freaking like a sacrifice. Like if you want to save your world, like give me your child. He'll take my place and I'm able to have peace. I'm just like, damn. That's kind of wild. I did not expect that kind of, plot to happen. But yeah, it happened. I'm just like, dude, holy crap. That's really cool. So yeah, we go back to of course they're like, hell no, we're not. Like Johnny immediately is like, I am not giving you my goddamn nephew, and he freaking flames on and starts rushing in, trying to damage Galactus, and is breaking up his feeding tubes, kind of messing up Galactus. Silver Surfer's trying to stop him, but of course he's in space, and the more he burns himself, the more he burns his oxygen, and eventually he does run out, and he like passes out mid-flight, and Ben has to like pick him up, and they're like trying to run out. But prior to that, I shouldn't skip over it, but Galactus forces her to give birth, essentially. Like he forces the child to start being born. I'm like, oh crap, like that's not good. Like Sue's now kind of out of commission, and she's like the one who can help like defeat Galactus in this moment, essentially, or help defend against his like stuff. Yeah, he forces her to start giving birth. Like she starts like going into labor, and Reed's like trying to carry her and get her out of there, while Silver Surfer is trying to stop them from leaving, and so that the baby stays. Yeah, so yeah, Galactus basically, is like stop them. Silver Surfer. There's a long like roughly 10-minute sequence of them getting back to the ship after fighting off Silver Surfer, getting back to their ship and flying out of there to get back to their FTL drive that they had. And it's like a really big chase where Silver Surfer's like reaching for the baby, like going through Sue to like grab the baby and pull the baby out of her womb, essentially. But they're able to FTL out of there, and it's like, oh, well, we're safe. Nope, Silver Surfer is in literally like the time stream, the FTL stream that they're in. Excuse me. And Johnny has to continuously like try to fight him off. It's a really good scene where it's like Ben is the pilot and he's trying to fly. Reed Richards is trying to like keep the ship all together and like make sure readings are good, while also trying to take care of Sue, who's out of commission, can't really do much. And then it's Johnny who's the one who's like he's like you got to kill her, bro. Like you need to stop her, otherwise your nephew's gonna die. We're all gonna die. And Johnny's like, God damn it, like I don't want to hurt her, but I gotta protect my family. So he shoots her with like a cannon and stuff and like trying to stop her. And it's a really cool sequence. It's a very nice sequence of them stopping Silver Surfer. And when they think they get her, she just comes back more and more, and like, dude, we can't stop her. So they have to stop at a freaking black hole, and it's like, dude, like we're at a black hole. How are we gonna survive this? So, like we have to stop her somehow. And if she's stuck in there, she'll be in there for like a month. And so yeah, they constantly are like in this black hole, and they're being sucked around, and like, oh my god, the sequence is really cool, and it's like the effects that go on, and they constantly have to like try to evade her. And of course, Susan has to use her powers to disguise the ship, and it causes, Silver Surfer to chase their FTL drive that's, not really invisible anymore. And it causes her to go into the black hole. They have to use a slingshot method to, get back to Earth, because they don't have an FTL drive anymore. They need to save all their fuel they can to, get back home. and some of their engines are broken too. So they're like, yeah, we need every spare second of fuel to get back home. And this is where I missed the part. This is the part of the movie that I missed. I had to use the bathroom real quick. So by the time I returned from using the bathroom, the baby is born in space. I did not see the delivery. I didn't ask my dad what happened during it. So yeah, so this is the part of the sequence where I was like, that's kind of whack. Her giving birth in space and everything. I was like, this is why I was like, why is she even here? But then again, she did just save them with her abilities. But then again, it's the reason why they're even being chased by Silver Surfer too, is because of her and the child. But the child was born in space. It's a really nice tender moment by the time I got back. And then this is roughly the middle of Act 2. They get back to Earth and everybody's like, oh, like you defeated Galactus, right? And they're like, no, we didn't. They're like, wait, what? They're like, yeah, we tried to talk to him. Didn't work. They're like, well, what did he want? They're like, well, price was a little high. He wanted our son. And this was part of the movie where like everybody turns on the Fantastic Four. Like, what do you mean? Like, you should have given him your son, save the world, blah blah blah. That's what you're supposed to do, right? And they're like, we get no more comment. And like a good chunk of the movie, like a good 30 minutes of the movie, is them dealing with the repercussions of that press conference. And it's like Fantastic Four, just get rid of the baby, get rid of the baby, get rid of the baby. I'm just like, bro. I mean, I understand they're scared and they're like, we have families too. Like, you need to get rid of uh, get rid of one life and save the rest of us. And it's like, no, like this is a baby we're talking about. Like this baby was just born. Like he doesn't even have a life yet, and you guys want to kill it. And they're like, and so like, there's a weird moment of them trying to like figure out like what should we do. And there's like some weird conflict between Sue and Reed. Like, and Sue's like, I know who you are, Reed. You always think of the worst possible solution to solve this problem, and the worst possible solution is you're gonna give our child. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And she's like, well, I know you thought it. Like, I know you, Reed. You're gonna think about it, and you know about it. I'm just sitting here like, this is like kind of weird writing. This is where the writing kind of gets a little weird throughout the movie. Is that Reed Richards is a family guy at this point. Family Guy. He's a family man, and so yes, of course he's like, I do think about it, but I'm not gonna do it. And it's like, and she's like, well, you hurt me every time you think about these things and think about the worst case scenario. And he's like, straight up, like, I don't mean to, like, I do. He's like, yes, I do think these things, but I don't mean to hurt you. I don't mean to hurt our family. Like, I'm not gonna do this. It's just that I'm cursed with the knowledge, and I'm cursed with the how my brain works. Like I am constantly thinking these things. I'm just like, that's good. That's good writing for his character. It's just that we don't really fully explore on it because it's Sue gets a really hissy fit. I'm just like, I get it. It's your son, and your husband just thought of like, what if we got rid of our son to save everybody else? I understand why you would be upset. It's just that if you've known for how long that you've known him, he would never do that. He never would do that. So it's a weird, they've been together for 4 years, and it's like, that's really, or they've been together for a while. And that is the thing that causes her to like be really like aggressive towards him. And then literally right after that scene, she takes Franklin, their child, and pretty much goes out to the public that's like witch hunting them, and like stands in the middle and like, I'm a mother. This is my child, Franklin. Hey. Like, I'm a mother. You guys have families too. Like, we're trying to solve this. Like, you guys need to calm down. And you guys don't need to do anything to harm my child. Like, we're going to figure this out together. And I'm just sitting here like, this is kind of weirdly put together. Like, trying to, like, offer up sympathy for her and her child. I'm just like, very, very weird. Very weird writing. And that was, like, the only part of the movie that is very weird. But not as weird as Ben Grimm's relationship in the movie. Ben has a relationship with a woman named Rachel, who's like a caretaker of like an orphanage or school or whatnot. I think it's like a school. And they're like setting like a chemistry between them, but like when they first meet, it's a decent conversation, very cute, very charming. The second time they meet is Ben looking at her after the fact they got back from the after space and the Galactus. and he doesn't speak to her. He just looks at her. I'm just like, oh, weird. And then the last time they even talk is literally the final day that Galactus is gonna arrive on Earth. Is the final time they talk, and it's very brief. I'm just like, where's this relationship? There's nothing here. There's nothing going on. They have good chemistry, but there's no development on screen. It's very little. It's done very little. So that's like one part of the movie where I do have to criticize. They don't do really much about the relationship between Ben and Rachel, his love interest apparently in this movie. Same with Johnny and Silver Surfer. There's like some romantic tension between the two characters. There clearly is. They even the cast even teases them for like, oh, your girlfriend's here, blah blah blah. And I'm just sitting here like, I like this. This is cool, but where's the rest of it? There's not a lot going on. And so during the movie, during like the beginning of Act 3, after how Sue introduces her son, and it causes the public to go be on their side again. What do you fucking do? Then they just kind of just move on. There's no like real growing precedent about it. So Reed Richards comes up with the idea like, well, I figured out teleportation. What about let's teleport our planet to a different solar system that is very similar to ours? And I'm just sitting here like, there's so much that could go wrong with that. And so they have to do this thing where, oh, we need all the power we need in the world. So they go for like a weird, like, oh, there's a curfew. You can't use energy for this time until this point in time. And everybody of course goes on board. Like, if we don't do this, we're going to die straight up. So everybody, does their part. But there's a few moments in the movie where they have a light on during nighttime in the baby room for their baby. Like, aren't you guys supposed to start saving power? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? You're using it to light the room where your child is. It's a little condescending and kind of weird that they did that, but it's whatever. Some weird minor plot holes throughout the movie that's kind of similar to that, where like Johnny is like trying to decipher the language that Silver Surfer has in the dark, and he's like lighting up his hand to like have light, and it's really cool. I'm like, oh, this is actually a really dope scene. It just shows him like looking at these papers, and he's like trying to figure stuff out. And yeah, it's done all in a way it is neat, but there is some minor plot holes here and there about like the whole save the power, and some things I'm just like, why is your power even on at this point in time? Like, you just said you're trying to save power. It's a little contradiction going on there, but I was letting it slide. I was like, I took note of it, and I was like, we'll move on. But then yeah, we there's not much else to say other than that. So Silver Surfer shows up the day of them gonna teleport. They're gonna teleport, and Silver Surfer shows up and ruins those plans. She just bursts through all these teleportation signals that's built across the world, and somehow she's able to move faster than Johnny can before, and goes across the entire world to break all these these pions that channel this energy to make the teleportation field. Except for the last one, which is where the Fantastic Four is in, which is New York. And Johnny's able to stop her by, like pushing her out of the way, and then he's able to play back all of the messages they recorded in space over the couple years or so. And it's literally all of her victims, all the people who died on these planets, like, praying and begging for God and begging for mercy. And she starts wigging out, like hearing all this stuff, and Johnny confronts her in her language, like, I know who you are, and I was able to decipher everything that is everything about you, essentially. And we get a flashback. So she used to be a scientist, Bashalai, I think, or Bashala, I think is her name, Bashala. So her name's like Bashala. I can't remember. I'll probably put it on screen what her name is. But yeah, she used to be a scientist, and Galactus came, and she volunteered to be his scout to spare her world and her daughter, essentially, her family. And so Johnny's like, I understand that. And then she leaves, and he chases after her. And this is one of the best Johnny moments, because again, Johnny's the best character in this movie. Straight up. Johnny's the best character. He chases after her after figuring it out, and he's like, hey, like, don't take my nephew, just take me. I'm just like, dude, this is such a good scene. Johnny's like stepping up, like, hey, like, just take me. Like, I'll take Galactus, I'll take the deal if you use me. just leave my family alone and leave the Earth alone. And Silver Surfer's like, that's not your choice. That's not yours. That's not for you to decide. That's Galactus, and he's not gonna accept you because he needs the child. The child is the key. And speaking of the child, quick side note, the child has a lot of scenes being held by Ben, the thing, and the baby CGI, and it looks weird. It's not terrible CGI, but it just looks off in his hands, and you can clearly tell they're trying to like match like physics and baby mannerisms, and it just looks really really weird. Like, I don't know what they were thinking about this movie when they did that, but yeah, it happened that way, and I was just like, bro, why does this look so weird? It's not terrible, but it's very off-putting, and you notice it every time, and it kind of distracts you from the movie a little bit. But yeah, other than that, the CGI was okay for the baby. It's just there's some weird moments. They would swap between a real baby and an actual CGI baby. It's between scenes, it was kind of funny. But at this point too, Ben Grimm grows a beard. So a lot of the character design changes for Ben is that he gets like a rock beard, and he looks really cool. He looks like a Santa Claus with a rock beard. It's actually really cool. And yeah, Johnny was right. Like, you look good with a beard, and he definitely does. He looks great in a beard. I was like, holy crap. But yeah, it is, very very good. And then we get to the end of the movie. They set up like, all right, we have only this amount of time to teleport him out of our world and to like across the universe. He'll be stuck there forever. He will not be able to touch this for millions and millions and millions and millions of years. Like, not even close to that. He'll probably, won't be able to do anything. So we get to this. So this becomes the final sequence of the movie, which is a big action scene of Galactus arriving on Earth. He's super massive, and he's crushing through buildings, and so they set up a plan to where they're gonna use Franklin as bait. And it is at this point where Sue's like, I'm gonna use him as bait, and Reed's like, no, don't use our baby. So it's like a weird turn of his character that never really fully developed. And he's like, no, this isn't the plan. And she's like, I know how you think, Reed. This is the plan. This is what you thought of. And he's like, now you accept his plans without issue. It's that's a little weird done part of the writing. Otherwise, everything else is pretty good. So yeah, they use the plan to use Franklin as bait. And so when Galactus arrives, he like sees the baby, like, oh, there's the baby. Like, I'm gonna take him. And they try to like pull a switcheroo. They blind him for a second, so they swap the carrier that the baby's in, and so try to have it to where Galactus walks into the field that he needs to be in to get teleported. They're gonna teleport him away because that's the only place they have, the only thing they have to teleport. And so that leaves with them the decision to like fight him on and stuff like that, and like let's try to like distract him. Of course, he's like, nice trick, but I can see through your stuff. And he literally scans. He's like, oh, the kid's at the tower. And so he's slowly making his way towards the tower where the kid is, and he's going to, take him. And so they all try to stop him. They all try to attack him. And, Ben tries throwing stuff at Galactus. Galactus catches him in the act and then tosses him into space. Johnny has to, try to stop him, or try to stop Ben, from dying in space. It's a really good moment where Johnny grabs Ben. He's like, I gotcha. And I'm like, dude, this is so good. Like, he went for his friend. Sue Storm is like in the car trying to stop Galactus and trying to get ahead so she can, save her baby. She gets knocked unconscious. She gets knocked out of the air by Galactus, and Reed Richards is all that's left to, fight him now. So he grabs like a spear made out of like a pole, and he gets onto Galactus, starts like messing with his little like injectors where he gets fed, and it like messes him up. And then it's a really weird scene. He grabs Reed Richards and he starts stretching him, and he stretches him about here. And so Reed Richards is through and through here, being stretched on arms and legs. And I'm just like, I know Galactus is big, but he's like barely pulling him apart. And Reed Richards is like about to die. He's about to get torn apart. I'm like, Reed Richards is able to stretch across Galactus, no problem. From my memory, he's able to stretch quite wide and far. And being stretched apart by Galactus this way didn't seem that legit to me. So it was a little off-putting. But then there's a really good scene where Johnny is carrying Ben, and he's like, you gotta say it, man, you gotta say it. And he's like, I'm not gonna say it. So they tease like their famous lines like clobbering time and all that stuff. It's clobbering time. He's like, Ben's like, I don't say that. You don't say that. And Johnny finally eggs him on as they're like about to plummet towards Galactus, and it's such a good scene. And he's like, "It's clobbering time." I'm almost like, dude, this is good. This is fantastic. And boom, they stop Galactus from trying to kill Reed, but they knock themselves out. So Galactus tries. He gets the baby, and he's about to get the baby. He's about to go leave, and so Sue has to make a sacrifice, which is what she talks about before when she shows off her baby, about how her mother died, and her father survived and was the only one taking care of her and Johnny. And when she was talking about the story, I immediately was like, oh, is she gonna try to sacrifice herself then, and it's gonna just be Reed with the baby? And so she literally overdrives her powers, and even Reed tries to stop her, and everybody's like, hey, what are you doing? She uses her powers like to like 200% and stops Galactus and starts pushing him towards the portal that they need him to be in, so teleport him. And she's like, save our baby. And she's like literally like freaking going through the motions of like, I'm going to defeat you. I'm going to save my child. I'm going to make sure you just do not harm our world again, even if it kills me. And I'm just like, yeah, they made Sue a bit stronger than before, but yeah, she is going overdrive. She's letting her emotions take over, and she's able to push through the pain just to push Galactus, this giant cosmic being, to where they need him to be so they can teleport him. And everybody's like trying to like help her, like, I got you, Sue. And Ben's like breaking buildings, so Galactus has nothing to help him, stabilize himself. And Reed Richards and Johnny is like trying to like stop him from even moving either, and just keep pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. And then he gets to the portal eventually in time, and Johnny gets onto the controls and he turns on the portal, and yep, we're gonna get him out of here. And so Galactus starts getting pushed in, and by the time the portal's sucking him in, Sue pretty much dies. She literally uses up all her energy, and she just falls back, and like her heart stops and she's dead. And one of the best scenes in the movie, and I knew what's gonna happen because like Silver Surfer has not shown at herself at all during this fight, and there's only 10 seconds left for the portal to be open, and Galactus is getting out, and Johnny's sitting there, and he looks at the time, and he's like, the line is, it's like, tell Franklin his uncle loves him. And I felt my body, like I'm like, Johnny's not gonna die. Johnny's not gonna die. I know he's not going to die. Silver Surfer hasn't shown. Silver Surfer is going to do this. She's going to be the one that sacrifices herself. But I could not, contain, like, dude, I don't want him to go. I know it's not going to happen, but it's just my psyche was, like, worried for him. I was like, holy crap, he might die. But I'm just like, no, he's not. Silver Surfer's not here. Silver Surfer's going to sacrifice herself. And so he charges towards Galactus, and I'm like, dude, this is such a good scene. And then, of course, before he's able to hit Galactus, Silver Surfer kicks him out of the way with the surfboard, and then freaking forces herself and Galactus into the portal, and it closes. And you're like, it happened. They did it. And so yeah, I was like, wow, this was a great finale. It had some weird moments here and there, but overall, it was a great finale. And they go over to Sue, and she's dead. And immediately, I'm like, dude, the baby's gonna save his mom, because they're just they highlight the baby a lot, and they show off the baby a lot. Soon enough, they place the baby on Sue, who's literally dead, and Sue revives. She's like, she like gets up from her death state, and she has like cosmic eyes for a moment. I was like, yeah, the baby has cosmic energy throughout his body. He's able to transfer it into his mom to save her, and that's what he does. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. It was like, oh yeah, we did it, we saved the world. And then it skips like almost like a year later or something like that, or not a year later, but close to like it's like their 5th year anniversary is the heroes of the Fantastic Four heroes. And it's that talk show guy. He has them invited, and like, oh well, we have to actually do something. And like, there's like a really good comedy bits here and there, but that's pretty much the end of the movie. The end of the movie ends with like a really nice gag and like family gag. And then after credits, we get to the after credit scene, and it's 4 years later. Franklin is now 5. Fantastic Four has been around for about 9 years now. And Sue goes and gets like one of his favorite books, and at the end it shows Doctor Doom touching her son, and he has his mask off, and you don't see who it is. Of course, it's Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, as Doctor Doom. Essentially, I think that's what people have said, that it's gonna be Tony Stark is gonna be Doctor Victor Von Doom. That's like gonna be his new name. And I'm just like, oh, and it says the Avengers will return in the Fantastic Four will come back in Avengers Doomsday. I'm like, gosh dang it, now I gotta see the movie because this was good. And yeah, that's the end. I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. Like I said, I love the writing of most of the scenes. I didn't really like that. For spoiler talk, this will probably be the end here. So this is where the final review happens, right about here on the time screen. So yep, that's the movie. I really, really enjoyed this movie. This movie was great. I loved everything, all the stuff I talked about and everything. It was just so good. And yeah, I'm actually excited to do these reviews. It was really nice to do this review. I was, kind of rambling on now, but yeah, it was super good. But final review, because I need to end this video here. Final review for Fantastic Four: The First Steps, which now I understand that title. It's The First Steps is about what we just talked about. But yeah, I don't know why the title says First Steps. But yes, Fantastic Four: The First Steps. Final review is a 9.5 out of 10. It is fantastic, but with flaws. It has flaws in it, but it is still a fantastic movie. I really enjoy this movie. The pros really outweigh the cons. Throughout my review, I do highlight the cons a bit of certain character interactions and certain character moments and situations that should have been a little bit fleshed out. Reed Richards kind of felt like a little bit of a side character more than a main character, unfortunately. Johnny was a highlight of every scene. Absolutely good film, though. I absolutely loved how this movie was made. And yeah, this was a very, very good movie. There's not much else to say. That it is a 9.5 out of 10 for me. It is almost near perfect of a movie that was enjoyable from start to finish. I did not feel bored. It was very, very good. It was a 9.5 out of 10. It was a fantastic but flawed movie. That's all I can say. But that will be the end of this video. I am was really excited for this movie afterwards. Like, dude, I can't wait to do the review. This is so good. I'm really happy to talk about it. But that's going to be it for today. Yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Thank you for joining me. I'm AK Austin, and if you want to see more of these reviews, let me know. I would like to do more of this. I could do more anime if I liked more movies in the future when they do pop up. But yeah, I am planning on to do this a little bit more frequently. But yeah, without further ado, thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next time. Bye-bye.